Hello, I am Claris Posadas,
I am Athena Julianne,
and we will be presenting a report entitled
Debunking the Agenda Setting Theory
and Analysis of the Maharlika Investment Fund Bill.
With the rising case of news misinformation, the media has a significant impact of the public opinion in the Philippines. For every action being exposed, the perspective of public opinion will always matter. With the rhetorical passage of the information from the headline, the public will capture the persuasive way immediately without critically thinking about the issue is being discussed. Filipino citizens consume an average of 10 hours and 2 minutes while using the internet, which means we are more prone to catching up on the latest news every single time. Without the proper knowledge of the topic or discussion, they describe the news as that is as necessary information. The online news platforms have become pioneering source of information since they appear everywhere, whether in social media apps and their mainstream websites. We cannot deny the fact that the news outlets have solely gained first-hand information and have the control on how we're going to deliver information to the public. It might bring prosperity or chaos to the fellow citizen. And in this video, we will discuss the theory that states the essence of credibility of news outlets and public opinions in the discussion of the Maharlika Investment Fund. Agenda setting theory posits that media news selection and presentation significantly impact public perception and policy decision. Gatekeeping, the key idea, directs and control the material discussed in media, with editors being the primary gatekeepers. The public interest lies in the results of media gatekeeping, which influences the transmission and presentation of newsworthy events.
The topic we chose as the main focus of our discussion is the Maharlika Investment Bill, since it is the most recent prevalent issue in the media. The broadcasting channel that we selected is the GMA Integrated News with its program namely Unang Balita. The GMA Integrated News and Public Affairs is a well-known local news channel in the Philippines. In the first phase, we viewed one news story about the Maharlika Investment Bill for 3 consecutive days. This table shows the details of the 3 news stories that we watched. Please pause the video if you want to read more about the table. Next, we also analyzed the news broadcast according to the following criteria: news headline classification, news categorization, prominence, technical devices, rhetorical and other textual devices. For the second phase, we conducted an interview with 5 respondents and asked them about their perspectives on the issue based on their sources of information. Our respondents are composed of students currently studying in the University of the Philippines, Mindanao. We randomly selected the respondents from different degree programs. The respondents consented that their interview shall be recorded. We assure that none of the information from the interview will be used for purposes other than for research. We also assure that their answers will not be used against them.
In the resultant discussion, based on our observations from the chosen TV news broadcast, GMA News, the voice-out, package, and live remote are visible in the news presentation. The news that we saw on the first day was delivered via voice-out, or voice-over sound on tape. The voice-out lasts approximately 25 to 30 seconds. The first news piece made of package as well. Package was clearly used in the second news report. It contained the anchor intro, the news report itself, and video portion of the narrative. Was also used in the last news story. The news story package lasts 4 minutes. All 3 news stories were in the form of straight news. All the stories concerned Philippine government officials, specifically the senatorial board and other notable government personnel such as President Riveros, Chief Escudero, Mark Villar, and the President himself, Bongbong Marcos, and his sister, Amy Marcos. The news stories take place in the Philippine context, with the majority of them focusing on the internal government issues. The House of Representatives building, Malacanang, Senate of the President building, were featured in the news story. In short, the most prominent feature of the news stories is in the Philippine government. After watching all 3 news stories, we have observed that the news broadcasts have cited their sources properly and have quoted speeches and phrases mentioned. For example, the news anchor quoted one of the President Marcos statements about the Maharlika Fund, saying that it should be clear where the funds will be taken from and where the Maharlika Investment Fund will be spent, especially since the Philippines is in debt. The news broadcast also used actual footage of the speeches or press releases of government officials if they are not quoting them. They also made certain to address all opinions, whether opposing it or not, in order to avoid bias. Quoting an expert to claim empirical validity is also observed by the news broadcast. The keywords we have noted from all of the three news stories reports are the Maharlika Investment Fund, Government Service Insurance System or GSIS, Social Security System or SSS, to implement against a flood among others. All news reports did not use any metaphors in addressing the issue, nor any persuasive or biased undertone toward the issue. From the gathered data, we have observed the following recurring themes, concepts, or ideas from all 5 respondents.
So these are the similar ideas that we have noted from all 5 interviews. Number 1, because they do not have access to television, all respondents stated that they get their information on this topic through social media, peers, discussion groups, and organizational meetings rather than television. However, they still get their sources from mainstream and non-mainstream news outlets, but only through their online platforms and websites. Number 2, the respondents said that rather than concentrating on creating Maharlika Investment Fund, we may have concentrated on other social, economic, and political challenges such as the SOGI bill and educational difficulties. Number 3, all interviewees believe that people should give importance to the issue, the Maharlika Investment Fund bill, mostly because it is concerned with the economic well-being of the country, and also because the issue involves the money of the people. They emphasize that we should be more concerned about the problem because, while it may only be a news headline or a popular online trend now, the issue's potential economic repercussions for the country in the future will be more significant, and they may come to regret their decision not to raise their concern. Number 4, all respondents state that the Maharlika Investment Fund is opposed by the majority of their media sources, prompting them to oppose to the bill as well. Number 5, because the Philippines is a third world country with significant debt, all respondents oppose the Maharlika Investment Bill. The Philippines is likewise recuperating from the pandemic and poverty rates are rising in the country. They believe that the Maharlika Investment Bill is not the best way to improve the country's economic well-being. Last but not the least, some interviewees have observed that there have been varying opinions about the issue since the bill does not have a clear outcome.
On the diverging ideas, one interviewee mentioned that they do not prefer to use television anymore to listen or gather information about an issue due to its credibility issues and underlying political biases. They believe that the government has power over huge media corporations in order to actively sway the public. Number 2, according to one of the interviewee as well, there is still a paucity of dialogue about the topic, particularly among ordinary citizens. Number 3, one interviewee mentioned that the intentions of the bill is somewhat beneficial. However, it is only beneficial for countries that have enough surplus money, such as first world countries. Number 4, one interviewee emphasized the comprehension of Filipino people towards media information is lower than those coming from other countries. And last but not least, number 5, one interviewee highlights that those pushing for the bill's passage directly through the president do not care about the well-being of the people. They simply want to grab the cash and claim it as their own. The parallelism between the perspectives of the people and the reportage of the issue. The Maharlika Investment Fund bill is a sovereign wealth fund that will be used to invest in a wide range of assets, including foreign currencies, fixed income instruments, domestic and foreign corporate bonds, commercial real estate, and infrastructure projects. These may feed an idealistic view of the nation. However, the state cannot establish the current situation in the economic structure of the Philippines. Number 2, some members of the government and the citizens have varying opinions about the establishment of the Maharlika Investment Fund due to unclear passage of the bill, which is evident in the news sources, and the perspective of the respondents. However, the upper head of Congress and the Senate railroad the implementation of the bill, which leads to the citizens and the opposition to appeal and against the establishment of the law. According to the news and interviewees, an economic expert should be consulted before discussed by because they are either unfamiliar with the subject due to its difficult terminology or because they are confused of the fund's intricate flow and process. It is necessary to have an open conversation with a neutral expert for these reasons.
So these are the assumptions explaining the similarities regarding the influence of media on people's lives. Number 1. Media has the power in shaping perceptions. This is because people expose themselves to text, images, audio, and videos from media outlets that may influence their attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. Number 2. Media communications are intended to convince or affect audiences in some way, according to the premise made here. The media is supposed to have a persuasive influence on people's attitudes and behaviors, whether through advertising, news coverage, or independent content. Number 3, even though the media can have an impact on people's lives, it is assumed that these effects are not the same for every person. Age, gender, educational level, and other personal traits can limit the impact of media messages. It is possible for different people to react differently to different media information. Number 4, media effects are long-lasting and cumulative. According to this premise, media has a cumulative effect on people. Regular media exposure, particularly over a length of time, can have a subtle but long-lasting effect on attitudes, values, and actions. Number 5, social norms can be shaped by the media. Social norms and values can be defined and shaped by the media. The media is that regular exposure to certain attitudes and actions represented in the media can cause people to mistakenly believe that they are normal and acceptable. This may affect how they behave and how they view society's norms. Number 6, individuals actively choose and interpret media content depending on their own tastes, interests, and beliefs. This is referred to as selective media consumption. This presumption recognizes that people have the freedom to choose the media they consume and the ways in which they perceive it. These choices can have an impact on how much media influences a person's life. Last but not the least, the underlying premise is that the interpersonal interactions can moderate or amplify the impacts of media, rather than these effects are isolated effects of media. People interact with others through talking and sharing media material which can further mold their beliefs, attitudes, and actions. Based on the information acquired, we draw the conclusion that while the media does affect how we perceive a particular topic, it has no bearing on our personal values, beliefs, or guiding principles. Since information in the media is frequently filtered to suit the interests of the masses or with the goal of influencing public opinion, it is important to be skeptical when it comes to this information. People should try to look at different perspectives and narratives about an issue, do extensive research, and consult experts before making a decision. Even if the media is in charge of setting the agenda, people need to be cautious of potential biases and false information. Being open-minded while also staying true to your values and morals is essential in effectively analyzing media information. We also observe that the students at the University of the Philippines, Mindanao are media literate and are not easily persuaded by what information the media feeds them. Unfortunately, some people, especially coming from far-flung areas of the country where they have limited access to technology and other sources of information, are susceptible to being misinformed and negatively persuaded by those above them. The nation also has the lowest reading comprehension scores, which has an impact on their media literacy. This is a challenge yet to be solved. The best action to take is to improve the media literacy of the Filipino people and to encourage them to do further research rather than relying too much on news and other media outlets, especially in this area where the government has control on powerful media conglomerates. It is also important to consider underrated news outlets for sources of information. The agenda-setting theory emphasizes the role of media in contributing to the perspective of the masses, but it does not consider that public opinion can also be a factor in shaping the media agenda. Therefore, the opinion of the people is still powerful. It is vital to note that the agenda-setting theory emphasizes the media's role in influencing the importance and prominence of topics in society rather than advocating the direct manipulation of public opinion by the media. Although everyone still has the right to interpret and establish their own ideas, the media's ability to set agendas can affect the tone and emphasis of public conversation. So that is the end of our presentation. Thank you for watching!